Have you ever been told you're an overthinker? Or maybe that you're too quiet? You know, we're often taught that these are flaws, things we need to fix. But what if they're not? What if they're actually signs of a really intelligent mind at work? So yeah, I want to ask you that directly. What if those things people point out, your so-called biggest flaws, what if they aren't flaws at all? What if they're actually signals of something pretty powerful happening just beneath the surface? All right, let's get into it. Psychology is actually uncovering this really fascinating connection. These behaviors we often label as negative, like being anxious or withdrawn, can actually be indicators of high intelligence. So today, we're going to explore 6 of these misunderstood traits and kind of reframe them, not as weaknesses, but as real cognitive strengths. Okay, so first, let's dive into the inner world. We're talking about those mental habits that get misinterpreted all the time, mostly because other people just can't see the complex machinery working behind the scenes, right? This is all about changing how we think a brilliant mind actually operates. And here's the classic one, the overthinker. The common misconception? It's just anxiety. A brain just tangled up in knots. But the cognitive reality is something else entirely. It's actually way more strategic. This isn't just random worry. It's a sign of some serious deep processing. You see, this isn't about getting stuck in baseless worry. It's a totally strategic mental process. A highly intelligent mind is kind of like a supercomputer running simulations. It's exploring every possible outcome of a decision, mentally rehearsing conversations. So it's not really about fixating on what could go wrong. It's about stress testing the whole plan to find the absolute best, most resilient path forward. Okay, so to get our next trait, we've got to talk about this fascinating thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm sure you've seen it in action. It's that phenomenon where the people with the least knowledge about something are often the most confident that they're experts. So just keep that idea in your head, because it turns out really intelligent people often do the complete opposite. And that brings us to the self-doubter. The misconception is pretty obvious. It just looks like a lack of confidence. But the cognitive reality? Well, that's intellectual humility in action. It's actually a sign that someone knows enough to realize just how much they don't know. And really, here's the key. The more you learn about a complex subject, the more you see this vast landscape of everything you haven't explored yet. So that feeling of self-doubt, it's not a weakness at all. It's a sign of intellectual honesty. It's a hallmark of a mind that can truly, genuinely grasp complexity. Okay, so we've looked at the internal thought processes. Now, let's see how this rich inner world actually shows up in our external behavior. And we'll start with this powerful need for space, both mental and physical. So, have you ever gotten this question? Why are you always so quiet? I mean, it's always asked like being quiet is some problem that needs to be solved, right? But the real reason for that silence? It's usually not about being antisocial. Not at all. There's actually a name for this. It's called intellectual solitude. See, for a really active mind, solitude isn't about avoiding people. It's about making room for ideas to breathe. It's that necessary quiet space you need to do the heavy lifting, the complex problem solving, making those creative connections that just can't happen in a noisy room. All right, next up, let's talk about speed. Specifically, how a faster cognitive processing speed can create a kind of different social rhythm, one that other people might misinterpret as impatience or, let's be honest, even rudeness. I want you to imagine you're in a meeting, and it goes something like this. Step 1, someone explains something really obvious. Step 2, they re-explain that obvious thing. Step 3, they repeat it one more time. For a mind that's moving fast, this isn't just slow, it is absolutely agonizing. And here's why that's so frustrating. What looks like impatience on the outside is actually a cognitive speed mismatch. Your brain isn't just sitting there waiting for the next point. Oh no, it's already 5 steps ahead, analyzing all the implications, drawing conclusions, while the conversation is still trying to catch up. And you know what? This mismatch can also get you labeled as socially awkward. But what's really going on? Well, a highly intelligent mind is processing this absolute fire hose of extra data in every single conversation. We're talking subtext, nonverbal cues, hidden agendas, all of it. It's like trying to have a casual chat while you're also secretly solving a complex puzzle. Yeah, no wonder it can be so draining. All right, our next trait is a really core one. It's a cognitive signature of a powerful intellect. This fundamental need to challenge the status quo. We often look at the person who questions every single rule and just think, they're a rebel. But it's almost never about simple defiance. It's about a deep, driving need for independent thought. For a mind like that, compliance requires comprehension. They have to understand the why behind a rule before they can actually get on board with it. So let's just do a quick recap of these hidden superpowers. That overthinking, it's really deep processing. Self-doubt, that's intellectual humility. Social withdrawal is actually a need for intellectual solitude. And that impatience is just a sign of high cognitive speed. And what looks like difficulty relating is really high-level analysis and questioning everything. Well, that's just independent thinking. See? These aren't flaws. They're signatures of a really powerful mind. And all of this brings us to a final question for you. After seeing all these traits reframed, which of these so-called flaws do you now maybe recognize as a strength in yourself? It's a pretty powerful question to think about. And who knows? The answer might just change how you see yourself entirely.